you've been seeing Hyrox everywhere and you are wondering why are people like so obsessed? I get it. Because from the outside, it can look a bit overrated or a bit cult-like. And you're wondering why are people paying to suffer and get excited about that, right? The running, the SkiErg, what even is that? Pushing and pulling heavy shit, throwing balls on the wall. At first, even I was like, what is this about? But once you're in it, it makes so much sense. At least it did for me. So much so that I want to share my experience with you. Obviously not as a fitness expert because that's not who I am. Not as someone telling you what to do, just sharing my experience because besides the physical challenge that it was, there were as well two main outcomes that I did not expect. And I'm telling you, were so worth it. And today I want to tell you why, and I want to share my experience with you. I am Joelle, and this is the Stripped podcast. If you are here for the first time, welcome. I hope you get comfortable. I will share my details in the show notes. I love to hear from you. I love to hear how you are navigating the topics that I talk about. I love to hear what other topics you'd like me to bring on. So please never hesitate. If you are not new here, welcome back. I truly thank you for your time, for your energy, for your presence, for your ears. I am so grateful for you more than you know. And if you are enjoying the podcast, I would so appreciate you giving me a 5-star review and a comment. That really means the world to me. All right, now back to the topic of today. So my husband and I, we joined Hyrox this year. We joined the mixed doubles here in Hong Kong, and that was our first time. Certainly not the last. And today I want to talk about the hype, like why is Hyrox everywhere? I also want to talk about what it did to me and also what you can take away from that experience, even if you never race in your life. First of all, Hyrox, as you might know, is very structured. It's the same thing all the time, is those 8 stations and the running in between. It's very tangible. When it comes to fitness, I don't know if you have experienced that in your life, but there was maybe a time where fitness for you was more kind of an on and off thing. And in a lot of cases, the reason is that it's too abstract. You might have a goal, which would be, I want to get in shape, but it doesn't really mean much, you know? Hyrox is the running, the 8 station. It's measurable. It's clear. And once you have the structure, there's no more noise about what is it that I need to do? How am I going to show up? You know exactly how, and you decide to either show up or not. But when you do, you just get to work. And the clarity that you get from that is what attracts a lot. What people like as well is that you are part of something, right? You're part of that movement. You're part of that community. It becomes as well part of who you are. Your identity is shifting. Even if you're not an athlete, you somehow start to see yourself as one. And no matter the level that you start at, there's really a satisfaction about being in a room with people who are here for the same thing, which is doing the hard work. Of course, we have different levels, different bodies, and different goals, but we are still working towards the same thing and in one direction. So we found a gym in Hong Kong called Coastal. These guys are legends. They had a Hyrox program. Like, that's not all they do, but it's part of what they do. And the program was almost about to start. And I thought, man, what can happen in 3 to 4 months? Do you know what the answer to this is? Well, a lot can happen if you decide to, or not much if you decide to. The choice is yours. How you use your time is for you to decide. So what actually made me say yes was not the belief that I had about my physical capabilities, but it was more so to realize that ever since I became a mom, which was almost 8 years ago, I kind of have put my needs on the sideline. There's a lot of things that we do that qualify as necessary. And then there are a lot of things that you do for your family as a family. But when it comes to your personal needs and desires as a mom, it's almost like it's secondary, somehow optional, or there's always this thought of, oh, that can come later. I can do that later. But again, later means what? Maybe never, right? So what happened in that moment? And also, I think having the support of my husband and him being part of it It gave me even a bigger permission that, you know what? I so fully deserve that. And when you feel that, all the rest becomes secondary, like the logistics. But you know what? When you really want something, you make it happen. And that was a huge relief to feel that even as a mom, even as a 40 plus woman, I can still do things like this that are new, exciting, challenging, and not feel guilty about that. I think that was a really big part of what I enjoy from the beginning of that experience. And so Hyrox for me became the possibility to take up space, to want something that was for me and for my couple, and to prove myself that I can push. And then so we started a 12-week program. It went really fast. And one of the most beautiful part was, the people, not in the, we met our new best friends kind of people, but just seeing the same familiar faces, showing up for the same thing, and being in a room full of humans willing to make an effort. We can have different physical capabilities and still do the same thing. And that's the thing. If you've been willing to join Hyrox, but you feel that, but I'm not an athlete, I want you to hear me. You really do not need to be. Of course, I would encourage you to do some trainings because at least you know what to expect and you prepare your body, but you do not need to be a pro athlete to join. You just have to be willing to train for what you said you wanted and keep showing up for yourself. Now, I want to talk about the real change. For the longest time, my relationship with training or fitness used to be more so against myself than for myself. Let me explain. I go to the gym to shrink or to compensate, like, I ate too much. I need to burn it off. I need to look different. That was my relationship, and that felt miserable. And so the body became something that you're fighting. But Hyrox really flipped that for me. Of course, it wasn't just that. It's the past years of me working on myself and finding joy in training. But I started to see more and more my body, not so much as something I need to change, but more so something that I really want to strengthen and something I want to care for. The thing as well is the focus during the training and the race was never about the look. Not one single time have I worried about that. And that's so weird because I have worried a lot about that in the past, and to the point that it surprised myself how little did I care in the gym. You're not checking yourself out. You are so focused on other things because you're going to look at the clock, at the monitor. You're going to look at the calories that you burn. You're going to look at the data, and you are really focusing on performance versus look, for instance. And that's the thing. As someone who talks a lot about feminine energy, I always say that feminine and masculine are both needed in harmony. And this experience was a beautiful use of the masculine. Let me tell you why. Because there's this structure and the data that you're looking at, and the specificity of, okay, this is station number 1, number 2, this is the distance, this is the pace. And having that structure pull me out of this conditioning that we've been fed for decades, that the point of moving your body is to be smaller. And I'm talking mostly for women. Instead, the point became get stronger, get more capable, learn technique, learn as well to recover and repeat. And for sure, something will happen when you are training like that. You start to see yourself differently. Like, I can actually lift more, or I can run longer than I thought. I can do this tired. I can recover and come back. And instead of perhaps shaming your body for what it cannot do, you start appreciating what it is proving you that it can do, for carrying you, for adapting. And the fact that you have kind of a countdown, if let's say the training is 3 months, this is long enough for transformation to happen, but it's also short enough so you don't get bored. Now I understand why there are people who are constantly signing up for a marathon. And once they're done, it's like, when is the next one? Because you want to be kept on your toes, doing something that you know is good for you, but also knowing that if I don't have something in my calendar, then I might not push myself as much. Does that make sense to you? And so all of that makes you appreciate your body. And that appreciation builds what? It builds self-trust. Not self-trust as in, oh, I feel confident today, but I trust myself because I signed up for that. I'm keeping words to myself. I'm doing the things that I said I would. And this is the best proof for you that you are reliable and that you deserve to trust yourself. So enough about the training. Now let's talk about the race itself. So the race, they came and we were prepared, and that was a huge part of why it felt empowering. We were not surprised about what to do, what to expect. We knew the stations. We knew what mattered to us. We had a goal time in mind. And my husband put everything on his watch so he could keep track of how are we doing? Are we behind? Are we ahead? So we can regulate accordingly. The idea was really to pace ourselves and not to burn out, because we also know with the excitement and the adrenaline, you could easily kind of go too quick, too soon, and then you exhaust yourself, but then you still have so much to go through. So we were more about pacing ourselves, and that was a really smart thing to do. Could we have gone faster? Yes. But then again, we didn't want to be exhausted, at any point, maybe except at the end. Especially, in my case, I have a hip injury that, by the way, I had the amazing blessing to be introduced to a fantastic physiotherapist. He really saved me. He saved my race. But that's a story for another day. So on the day itself, the work that I did with my physio and the adrenaline were a great combo, because I almost did not feel any pain. And that's something to be mindful of, because you can be on a high during the race and your body will let you borrow that energy. But then at the end of it and the days following it, you also need to prepare yourself for resting. The recovery is very important. And personally, I have not really thought about that. It's a bit like when you are about to give birth, you have so much documentation about the birth itself and the birth plan. But then when that happens and you dismiss home, there's this kind of limbo moment of oh, what the fuck do I do now? I felt a bit like that, very unprepared on how am I going to feel the next day and the day after. So that's one side note that I would say. Plan for your recovery, because I'm not an athlete, and for me it was a lot for my body to take on. Now back to the race itself, it was exhilarating. The intensity, the excitement, it was all there. And the running was easier than I thought, because if you live in a humid environment like we do here, and can get very hot, so if you're used to running outside, Hyrox being indoor with air condition actually felt quite comfortable. So that's the upside of usually training in harder condition and when it is on the day itself. So that's the upside of it. But now I want to get into the two major unexpected highlights that were that I encountered with Hyrox. And the first one has to do with parenthood. So our son came to cheer us up, and it's so well organized, because if somebody comes with you, they can actually see you at every station. So he was high-fiving us, cheering. I could see he was excited for us, and he was really leaving it with us. And that was so amazing to see. And at the end of it, when we were lining to take pictures, he started to do burpees. He was in such a high, and he was telling us, oh, I can do that too. I want to do it. Do they have one for kids? And to me, this moment was so, so golden, because we never intended to do this to teach him something, And isn't that the best gift that you can give to a child? Showing them that you show up for yourself, showing them that you're at any age, you can do something new. And that, yeah, it's a bit scary, but you can still do it. And you don't need to be the best. You don't need to finish first. What you need to do is just do the best that you can, and taking care of ourselves and choosing to do this out of love for ourselves and not from punishment. And for him just to absorb that from his, little mind was such a beautiful moment for me as a mom to witness. And the second thing, the unexpected highlight as well, is, I talked a bit about it earlier, was that Hyrox really helped me to stop caring about what my body looks like and caring about what it does and what it can do, because we are our harsher critique. usually. It's easy to think about all the things that your body is not that you wish it was. But that means that often you're not going to really recognize the magic and the beauty that it carries within. This race doesn't focus on aesthetics. You can see people from all ages. You have different age groups. You can see people with so many different bodies. And we all, it seems, focus on the capacity, on the performance, not on the aesthetic. You focus on getting to the finish line and on maybe not injuring yourself, on pushing harder, on going faster, maybe, but never on the looks. And even myself, I did not give a shit because I could just witness how strong I was in the moment. And there are not many occasions where I feel like this. And the fact that I could feel that way in that moment means I can feel that way in so many other moments. And now it's up to me to make that happen. But at least all I needed was that proof that it's possible. And I'm going to give you an example. Like towards the end, you have this station, which is called the farmer's carry. So you have to carry like two kettlebell, like one in each hand. And when you join the mixed double, it's 24 and 24 kilos in each hand. At the gym, I was like, this is fucking impossible for me to lift it from the ground. But during the race, I was just running with them. My husband was behind me running, like, who are you? I could feel in my body how strong I was becoming. And again, the look didn't matter. I looked probably like a mess. It didn't matter. I'm strong. I'm capable. That's all I wanted on that day. So if I had to sum up what Hyrox gave me, it's this. It wasn't empowerment just because I finished the race. It was empowerment because I stopped treating myself like a secondary character. You know, you hear people talk about main character energy. This was really it. I stopped waiting to feel ready. I chose something that required me to show up. And I did show up. And you know, maybe for you, it's not Hyrox. Maybe it's going to be signing up for something that scares you, but excites you at the same time. It could be training for something concrete like that, or a marathon or another type of sports challenge. Or it could be just carving time for something that's not just you accepting to get crumbs of everybody else's schedule. Really carving that time for yourself. And also perhaps doing one hard thing consistently enough that your brain finally registers and goes like, okay, she really means it. So to wrap that up, what I want to say the most is this, and thanks for listening up to this point. If you've been leaving with that story of, oh, I'm not that kind of person, this is not for me, I just want to offer you this. That story that you're telling yourself is not a fact. It is a door, and you can decide to walk through it because capability is built at any point of time. Self-trust is built as well. And right now, you do deserve that. Full stop. Now, it's about the choice. You get to choose. How do you want to use the next 3 to 4 months in your life? If you're listening to this right now, we are mid-May, almost end of May. June, July, August, September. From now until September, what is it that you want to focus on? You get to decide, and you get to decide if you're going to show up or not. And now, if you feel like sharing, I'd love to know, what is one thing that you've been either secretly or not so secretly willing to do, but having the story around it that you can't or that is not for you? What is it? And what are you going to do about that? Feel free to message me. One sentence is enough to start a conversation. And if you need support to break a pattern and to maybe change your ingrained beliefs that are not serving you anymore, this is part of what I do. This is part of how I guide people towards reconnecting with their essence, towards bringing to the forefront of your life what it is that you want to bring out to the world, the version of you that you want people to see. And most importantly, the version of yourself that you want to embody. This is your time. There's no better time than now. Message me if you want that support or if you just want to have a chat. All right. Thank you so much again for listening. I'll talk to you in the next episode. Bye for now.